Gus, two-parter, but the first one being, Buck has played, I feel like, out of his mind all season. So what do you think of just the way he's sustained his play? No matter the injuries, the record, the personnel, it seems like Buck shows up every week.
Well, I think, that's what Buck's all about is spending time with them. He's a true pro, a man who gets the job done no matter how he feels inside. I think that's kind of a definition of a pro. And he does it in practice. He does it in meetings and his play. And you're right, he's banged up. He's got some injuries and he's battling through that. So he's doing a great job leading our group, both by actions and by words. And he's playing at a high level for us. It's very accurate, James.
And then you all have, more or less struggled on offense pretty much all season, and defense has been out there a lot. What is the message to these guys, or what have you told these guys about trying to make the most of a unique situation where, quite frankly, they've been put in bad spots a lot this season?
Yeah, I think that, like I mentioned to you before, how do we know when we've arrived? It's when we dictate the outcome of the game. And our guys have really taken a look at that, and you hear them talking about it, that, we got to go out there and play every series, every snap, regardless. We're ahead, we're behind, and there's a standard that we have set for us. And that consistency that we need to show week in and week out is what drives this team. We have really highly competitive guys. It's amazing to me. They come back, we know exactly what we're going to get tomorrow from them. They're going to be focused. They're going to, concentrate in meetings. They're going to focus and walk through, and then they compete in practice. And that's what we've seen each week from them.
Joel Erickson.
Gus, with Dio developing as an interior rusher and some of the stuff he's doing, that combo of him and Buckner inside, just how good have they been the last couple games?
They've done a good job. We're getting him more and more reps inside, just to take a look at him. He's really come into his own. I think, like we said before, when a guy like Taekwon, who's so important to us, goes down, there's stories that take place. And Dio's one of those stories. Each week he's improved. He's gotten better and better, not only in his run game, but in the pass game. He plays bigger than his weight. He's a load out there. And, we're just taking a look at him for the different things he can do and looking at our combinations that can be on the field at the same time.
That playing bigger than his weight, is that why why did you guys decide to start kind of moving him more inside as much as possible?
Well, some of that is just to take some of the load off of Buck. I know last week against Minnesota, Buck had a lot of reps in there. So just to kind of take some of the load off of him too, and to take a look at Dio.
Chat.
Gus, you had to have a good, I guess, impression of Buck before you got here, just from his years. Have you been surprised one way or the other? Maybe what you
hear so many good things. Yeah, it's a good question, Mike. You hear so many good things about him, just as a man, what he stands for, his work ethic. But I think until you're around him on a day in and day out basis, where you see is consistent, there's no up or down with the man. He comes to work. He's a true pro, regardless of the situation. And so I had a high feeling of what he was like, but I think he exceeded that just because of the day-to-day operation that he has.
Thanks, Jess.
George Bremer.
That's with Rodney Thomas. He came out and he had that hot start, and it seemed like maybe he hit some rookie challenges, and now he's kind of found a groove again. Does that say something about him? Is that a good sign for his progress moving forward?
Yeah, I think each of these young guys are kind of in a race to maturity, and they have to fight through some of those battles during the season. They are a rookie. It's more games than they played, and he's done a good job for it. I actually think that maybe his drop was real minor compared to most. He's a pretty focused man, pretty driven man. And so if there was a little bit of a drop, he fought through it pretty quickly.
All right, and we'll go last one here, Nate Atkins.
Hey, Gus, what do you think has allowed Zaire Franklin to be as comfortable as he is in coverage when it's just not something that he'd done much before this year, and it can often be a challenge for linebackers to adjust to that.
Right. He has a good awareness, I think. And the more and more he plays, I mean, some of the things that we saw last night from him, we didn't see earlier. We're playing some things, more coverages in the back end. And I think the more and more we're playing them, we're taking out some of the gray area, what we're asking of him. And he can quickly adjust. If there's an issue that took place on the field, maybe a route that was unscouted that we haven't seen, you can talk to him and he picks it up real quick. He knows exactly what he needs to do. And he does have a really good feel for things. So, and we're playing a variety of coverages on the back end. It's not like we're playing a few. So hats off to him for, just his general understanding of some pass concepts, and based on the coverage we have called, where his assignment, what he needs to do. So yeah, that has been a great surprise. Just based on coming in, like Mike was asking about Buck, that was one of the things, just because he hasn't played a lot. And, he's been very impressive in that aspect.